Hi loves! Alright, this video is going to be 5 things not to say to somebody who is having a miscarriage or has had or whatever a miscarriage. And pretty much, I think also infertility, but these are really specific to a miscarriage. Anyways, okay. Basically, I've been feeling like a smidge bitter, and I recorded my other video, which if I'm smart enough I'll link somewhere, but I'm probably not smart enough. Anyways, I recorded that video and I realized that while those are all really important, it's also important to address the things not to do because those can be really harmful. So this is what that's what this video is going to be about. It's going to be all about the things that you should not do. Okay. And these are going to be sort of in no particular order, but kind of in an order, so bear with me. Number 5. You need to move on. Now, I have never had someone say it to me like that. I have actually heard from other women, they have had people say that to them. But the message at the center of that you need to move past this, you need to keep moving forward, yada yada, whatever, is just bad. It's negative, it's harmful, it's not good. Especially considering you don't know what that means, which I'll get into more later, but you don't know what moving forward actually means for that person or that couple. That could mean a wide variety of things. So by interjecting when they should finish their grief and start being happy again, you're kind of telling them that they don't know what they're doing and that you're going to tell them how their plan's going to run. It's really, really harmful, especially thinking about how grief looks and just thinking about that it may fluctuate. You know, I've had days, it's been a month about now, and I've had days where I feel like my 100% myself. I also have days where it's like difficult to get out of bed and I just think, this sucks and I hate everything. And it like I said, it fluctuates and you just don't know. So telling someone they need to move on, or someone said something along the lines of, well, you knew this was a possibility, so why is it so difficult for you? It's also a possibility that your apartment's gonna light on fire and you're gonna lose everything you own. Does that mean that it's not difficult? No. Okay, sorry if the camera angle changed. The dog got overexcited, so now he's here being my assistant, so I had to adjust a little. Hopefully this doesn't look ridiculous. Oh well. Number 4. This one I actually heard a lot from other TTCers, a lot of other people who are trying or who are going through infertility, and I have a little bit of mixed feelings about it because I've actually said it to myself. I've said it to my husband said it to me, we both feel like it's a good thing to say and feel, but then at the end of the day, it's actually pretty harmful, and that's at least you can get pregnant. The heart of that is that there's hope, really. But the problem is that just because I can get pregnant doesn't mean I will ever be able to have a pregnancy go full term. That's actually something that's a real possibility for us. Yes, we can get pregnant, but that doesn't mean we're necessarily going to be able to have healthy children from those pregnancies. Those two things usually coincide, but in this case don't necessarily coexist. I could have all different kinds of things that basically mean I will never be able to carry a pregnancy full term. Number 3, this one's a little bit tricky because the message is really good. The message of this one is you're not alone, but what you end up saying is a comparison story. So usually, in my experience, it was something like someone had heard a story of someone else who'd had a miscarriage. You know, Susie so-and-so had 5 miscarriages and now they've got 2 healthy kids. Or, you know, Debbie so-and-so at my office had a miscarriage last year and now she's pregnant. Some kind of comparison story. And the message in there is A, you're not alone, and B, to have hope. But that, it doesn't really matter to my situation. Their situations, Susie's and Debbie's, may have been totally different from mine. And also, it's concerning to me because you're telling me someone else's private story. And I don't know if you have permission to be telling me their story. And I also don't know then if you're telling them my story. And do I really want Debbie so-and-so at your office to know my story? Probably not. Debbie doesn't seem trustworthy. At the end of the day, telling someone that they're not alone is totally a great thing. You know, if you're able to say, hey, I had a miscarriage and I want you to know you're not alone, and if you ever want to talk about it, I'm here for you. That's super. I had someone come out of the woodwork who I was very close to, and she confided to me that she'd had a couple miscarriages, and we talked about it, and that was very helpful. But these comparison stories, especially when they're secondhand, end up not being helpful, especially when it's something like a one-upping story, like, oh, you've had 2, so-and-so had 4. Because then it means, okay, am I not supposed to be sad until, like, when am I supposed to be sad? At number 4, am I allowed to be sad? I don't know. Number 2. This one I haven't heard necessarily directly. You hear it a lot, or it kind of is, you never hear it directly, but the message is, it wasn't a baby. And that's really tricky, because we hear it a lot, even in healthcare. You know, I'll have nurses say, and whatever, say, oh, you've had X amount of pregnancy losses. And we kind of get that in our heads that we lost a pregnancy, and that's true, but I also lost a baby. And I lost a whole child that I could have raised and could have, you know, sent off to college and all that stuff. So I think that one's really, really damaging. And I actually heard a story from someone else who said they actually had someone actually tell them, well, it's not like it was a real baby. And I can only imagine how difficult that would be when you're going through heavy grief for this little infant, this little tiny baby, and someone just dismisses it. That would be extremely painful. And it can come across different ways too. Things like calling it a fetus. You know, I had an ultrasound tech. We asked for a picture of the baby, and he was really weird about it. And then when he finally gave us the picture, he had wrote fetus on it in like big letters. Like, this is not a baby. This is just a fetus. Let it go. And that sucked. Number 1. This is probably going to be controversial that I have this at number 1. It's at number 1 because Tim and I heard this, have heard this, are still hearing this all the time. And it's 100% a fallacy. And that is any iteration of, you'll have more kids, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen, anything that basically is making me look at future children and telling me those ones over there don't matter. These babies you've already loved don't matter. The only thing that matters is these potentially fictitious future children. And granted, in most instances of miscarriage, and even recurrent miscarriages, the couple will go on to have a healthy, happy pregnancy that results in happy, healthy, bouncing baby. But not in every case. And it could be for a wide variety of reasons. You don't actually know that it's possible for them to ever have kids. Unless you're their fertility specialist or a really accurate psychic, you have no clue. You just don't know whether or not they'll actually ever be able to have a child. That's one of the things that's most difficult. As someone who's currently in that place where we don't know, that's one of the most difficult things to actually work through on your own, and then having other people just dismiss it and say, just don't worry about it, it'll happen. It makes it even more complicated because we actually don't know that it's possible. We may not actually be able to. And you're telling me that I should just forget those worries and just have faith? And I understand the message, but it's really not that simple. There is actually a lot of science and testing and discovery that has to go on before we'll even know that's a possibility. There you have it. Those are 5 things not to say to someone who has had a miscarriage. Basically, what you should say to someone having a miscarriage is that you're sorry for their loss. And that's kind of all you have to say. You want more information about how to support someone who's having a miscarriage or who's had a miscarriage, or really to support people in general, you can check out a video that if I'm smart enough I'll figure out how to link, but it'll probably just be in the description box, and I'll probably have added it later because I always forget these things. Also, if you're interested in other information about miscarriages, let me know and I'll try and answer them. I am not a doctor or fertility specialist. I am just a girl who has had recurrent miscarriages and who is struggling, muddling through them. So that's my story. Now I'm gonna go tell it walking.